There you are. I've been waiting all day for you to check out my video, and here you are. You did it. You didn't let me down. Now it's my turn to not let you down. Let me show you something super cool that you can do with a PlayStation 4. Yes, here we are again. This time a Ninja Turtles PlayStation 4, made for a wonderful fan named Alex Hang. Thank you so much, buddy, for hitting me up. It's been a long time coming, this thing. I've had this project for way too long. I've put it off. I was trying to figure out what I could do. I was thinking of color schemes. I was thinking of graphics. I was thinking about how am I going to light up this logo? What can I do to show people stuff that they haven't seen before on my tutorials? Anyway, let's see what it is that you're going to need to pick up at the store so that you can make one of these for yourself. Now for the items needed section of this tutorial, I'm going to go through and show you exactly what I needed and what you're going to need. Everything is laid out right here in front of me. This way I can give you a little bit more examples or descriptions as to what these tools are and what they are for while creating your masterpiece. Let's start off with the Cowles Custom Chrome Trim. You can buy this at AutoZone or any other auto store like O'Reilly's or Auto Advance. You can also find your Duplicolor paint there. I highly suggest that you use Duplicolor paint. It is phenomenal paint. It's nice and thin. You can see it doesn't like thicken up and cover over your PlayStation logo that is embedded into the plastic itself. This stuff is fantastic. Now I also painted that trim, and that is what is around the edge, securing my plexiglass, which covers the logo and protects it. You're going to need a Dremel. Now this has a multi-purpose cutting tool, and that kit comes with this as well. It sits flat on your console, and what I like to do is I like to use the bigger hole here, facing that towards the light so more light shines in, and then I look through the small hole so I can actually see the line that I've outlined in order to make the cut and make it, you know, nice and even and everything. I highly suggest that you use this. I believe that's about $20 for that set, maybe a little bit less than that depending on where you buy it. You're also going to need to get yourself some painter's tape. You can find that at any like do-it-yourself store, hardware store, stuff like that. Very easy to find. I'm sure you've seen that before. Electrical tape, you're going to need that as well. Double-sided tape and some solder. Along with the solder, you're going to need a soldering iron, because you're going to do some soldering in order to get those lights to work. The lights, which I'll get to that in a little bit. Now we're going to need a security bit Torx screwdriver, and I'm going to go ahead and leave in the description what size you're going to need, but I highly suggest that you get a kit so that way you can continue to do this on yours, your future consoles, your friends' consoles, whatever. So if you get a kit of these, you're always going to have exactly what you're going to need. And of course, when new consoles come out, new designs and everything, they might change up the size of the screws, so you'll be ready for that. This is just a regular Phillips head screwdriver. It is a small Phillips head screwdriver because the Phillips head screwdriver, or the Phillips head screws that are inside of this, are quite small. So get yourself a small one. You don't need a large one. A pair of scissors, and we're gonna cut our water slide decal paper, which is what I used to get this design on here. A flawless design. It looks fantastic, right? That looks really good. And water slide decal paper, there are two different kinds. You have white and you have clear. Now since I used a white base paint on this console, I was able to use the clear paper. But if you're going to be using something like black or any dark color, any color other than white, or say a bright yellow or something, which bright yellow is absolutely ugly and disgusting, but if that's the color that you want to use, you can use the clear paper. Anything darker than that, you're going to want to go with the white. You're going to need a set of wire strippers, and you're going to need an X-Acto knife as well as a plexiglass cutter to cut your plexi. The plexi The plexiglass cutter is quite sharp, so do be careful when you're cutting whatever, you know. Most of the time, if you're going to be using this, at least in my tutorials, I always use rectangular shape, square shape, stuff like that. So in order to make sure that your lines are straight, you're going to need a pencil, and I like to use this, which is a square. You don't need to go out and buy a square. You can just use a book or something heavy. You could use a ruler if you wanted to. Get your line on there nice and straight, and then use that as a guide to make sure that your cut is straight. I suggest you get yourself a pair of wire snips, cable cutters, whatever you want to call those, and just to be safe, get yourself a pair of pliers. Now this, you might be saying, what the hell is this? This is what is left of the electroluminescent panel that I used to illuminate the Ninja Turtles logo. And that uses a power conditioner, which is back here attached to the back of this, and that has to be connected in order to get this to work correctly. You can't just run the 12 volts off of the fan straight into the luminescent panel. It has to go from the fan to the power conditioner, and then the power conditioner to this. And you can see it's actually quite thin. It's paper thin, and it cuts just like paper. So you'll also need the scissors for that as well. And yeah, duplicolor paint, as I mentioned before, that stuff is fantastic. So again, make sure you're using that. You got a sandable primer, and then whatever base coat, accent color, and then a clear coat to protect it all and really bring out the color. Now that red is cherry metallic, and it doesn't look metallic up here, which is really nice. It doesn't have like the flecks of, you know, like metallic paint like what you would see on a car or whatever. For some reason, when it was applied to the white, it just turned out looking red and brighter than the actual piece down inside of here, like the guts of the console. But they are the same color, and I don't know, it matches the color scheme really well. As you can see, the Ninja Turtles all have red face masks, and you might be asking yourself, why do the Ninja Turtles all have red face masks? I mean, Raphael's the only one with red, right? Wrong! You were wrong. Originally, the Ninja Turtles, all four of them, had red face masks, and it wasn't until the cartoon that they individualized them with each their own color. Red, blue, purple, and orange. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? I was always a big fan of Raph. Raph is the shit. Totally. Absolutely. No doubt. Anyway, guys, that is all the stuff that you're going to need. Let's get started on this tutorial. Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen, ripping apart PlayStation 4s and turning them into something cool. So happy you guys could join me today. Yeah, like the PlayStation 4, that shiny piece, you can just pop it right off. It's meant to be pulled off of there, so that way you can upgrade your hard drive at any time. And since we've got that off, we're just going to go ahead and remove the security screws from this side of the PlayStation 4. And yeah, it's been a while, yet again, since I've been able to do one of these for everybody. I just don't have as much time to be able to do those because I don't have a whole lot of orders coming in. And I'd like to do more of these. I'd actually wouldn't mind just being able to buy them myself, like just buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One and pull them apart and make something cool out of them, and then do those during my giveaways when I reach milestones. But at this point in time, it's one of those things that I just can't really do. Unless I have contributors from my fans, viewers like yourself. If this is something that you want to see me be able to do, I do have a Patreon account that you guys can donate to, or you can just donate straight to the channel. Normally, I wouldn't be asking for something like that, but I know that this is something that a lot of people enjoy watching me do. So if you're one of those people and you want to see me do this more, then you can choose to contribute, and I would be happy to do these more often and just give them away. I'd really like to do them at least once a month, but until I can get some contributors or anything like that to get the channel going more and more and more. I mean, there's 8,000 of you. There are 8,000 subscribers at least. And if anybody out there can help me out, help the channel out, that would be phenomenal. So that way I can bring you this kind of content more often. And yeah, I mean, you guys are watching this. Most of you have probably seen my other tutorials, so you kind of know the steps already when taking apart these PlayStation 4s. It's really easy. You just watch what I was doing there and you guys can figure it out. If you need more detail, I got plenty of more videos. I just wanted to throw out the whole option for Patreon. Anyway, how's everybody doing? I am excited to bring you this Ninja Turtles PlayStation 4. Yet again, I have brought something to the table that is a new technique. We're using an electroluminescent panel in this PlayStation 4 because they are paper thin, and I wanted to be able to illuminate the logo, which I put in the shiny piece of the PlayStation 4. And in order to do that, we had to have something paper thin because there's just not enough room up there to be putting LEDs in. So they work pretty much the same as LEDs do, but you do have to have the power conditioner in order to get those to operate. I mentioned that just a little bit ago in the items needed section. So once we've got all of our screws pulled out from this section of the PlayStation 4, you can go ahead and pop out your power brick. And these are the cables that you're going to pull out. So you have a cable right here, that's the actual power brick. And then this cable here, that belongs to your wireless. You can go ahead and pop that off since you're over here. And then this cable is actually for the Blu-ray drive. So go ahead and disconnect all of these. You can even disconnect that ribbon cable. We're going to do that from the Blu-ray. We're going to take it off of the Blu-ray itself by pushing in on this and then just pulling on this tab. And then we're going to go ahead and do that again where it connects to the motherboard, just to be safe. You'll see that I didn't do that, and I had a little bit of trouble pulling this apart later. But go ahead and just take apart all of the cables from the motherboard at this point in time. Now I'm using a small flathead screwdriver to get underneath of the Blu-ray drive and just kind of make it a little easier to pop this thing out. And we're going to put it off to the side. Good God. It seems like it's been too long since I've done one of these. And it always seems like that whenever I do a new one. It's like, gosh, I haven't done one of these in like 5 or 6 months. I was really hoping to bring you guys at least one a month all year, but it just wasn't possible. Wasn't possible. Alright, so now that our Blu-ray drive is out of the way, we're just going to put that off to the side. And we're going to flip this guy over here in a bit. There we go. Flip it over. And now we have a whole lot of other screws in here. All of them are labeled with a arrow. Makes it easy for us whenever we go to put this back together. Everything's labeled, which is beautiful. It's as if they want you to pull it apart and do things that are cool to it. They want to make it challenging, yet at the same time, not so challenging that you don't know where the screws go when you're putting it back together. Thanks a lot, Sony. Thank you so much for making my job easier. I appreciate the hell out of it. Alright, so once we get all these pulled apart, then we're going to take the screwdriver, our Phillips head screwdriver to be exact, and we're going to pull off this pressure plate here just with a couple of Phillips head screws. They come out quite easy. This whole process of disassembly is super easy, and I did it all in real time on the video just so you can see about how long it takes. Doesn't take too terribly long, and as long as you're organized, you'll be able to put it back together just as easily as you took it apart. Swear to God you will. Now right here, this is our cable that connects our fan. We're just going to go ahead and pop that open, and then we're going to remove the RF shielding from our motherboard. Put that son of a bitch off to the side because we don't need it right now. What we need to do is pay attention to our motherboard. So we're going to grab that. We're just going to grab it from this end. We're going to pop it up a little bit while working it out. You can see how I'm pulling it away from me there. Just trying to get that out. It might give you a little resistance. Just be careful. You're not going to break anything. It's easy. If I can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. As I tell you in every one of my videos, I know you can do this. If you're saying to yourself, I don't want to do it, you could do it. If you don't want to do it, I mean, you don't have to. I could do it for you, I suppose. That's an option. It costs money, but hopefully that's something that you're willing to put into it. And if not, I don't want to hear from you. I don't even want to see your face. I don't want to see you say anything to me, because this stuff takes a while to do, guys. That's why I show you the video so you can see exactly how the process works. unscrewing all of these screws. You got some screws right here in the gosh, this is like another RF shielding. It's actually attached to the cooling system, or your heat sink. It's basically all of your heat sink here. You have 3 screws in there that you're going to pull out. Those are also Phillips head screws, and that will make it easy for us to just lift this thing straight out of here. Once we've got that removed, we're going to remove the fan, which also has Phillips head screws. Putting that off to the side, and here we go, removing the fan. Now the fan has a piece of metal that's attached to it. You want to make sure that that is in place. Just leave it sticking to the fan. Don't remove it, because it's easy to overlook that whenever you're reassembling everything. So it's that piece right there. Right there. You want to make sure that that is still on the fan. And there it is, guys. It is completely disassembled. Look at that. What a mess. Sanding. This is everybody's favorite part. Everyone loves it so much that in every single video, everybody wants to know if it's something that they can skip. No! You're not allowed to skip steps, you dumbass. Why are you even thinking about it? Why are you asking me? Why? I don't like it. I don't like it when you ask me those questions. Can I skip this? No. Knock, knock. Who's there? No. You can't skip this. It's important. Now, you got these metal pieces in here. You can go ahead and cover those over with some blue painter's tape at this point in time. Since, since we're already here, we might as well do that. And we're going to take 400 grit sandpaper, and you can see here in real time, just this piece, I'm going to show you in real time, how easy it is to sand that up. Why are you sanding this? It is to help promote adhesion. So yeah, you're going to put a primer on over this after you've got it sanded, but primer alone isn't going to help your paint stick. You need to make sure that you are sanding before you're applying any paint to your project. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this video is actually in 1080p. After I've been doing this for what, 2 years, 3 years now, been bringing these kinds of videos to you. I finally stepped out of 2007 and into 2017 and got myself a nice camera. So there it is, real resolution. I tell you what, it definitely brings the process of making these videos, it cuts it in half, because it used to be I would use my standard definition camera and I would edit that in a standard definition project or a sequence, whatever you want to call it in Premiere Pro, and then I'd have to bounce it down into an HD sequence, which it wasn't really true HD, and then I would make an HD sequence, and then I'd have to re-edit everything. That extra step is over. And I tell you what, converting an SD video that's an hour and a half long, converting that into high definition, that takes about 12 to 18 hours. It's not fun. So I can't say I'm going to miss that. Thank God I finally got myself together and quit recording with a potato, as so many of you out there called it. It was definitely a potato. So I'm glad that's over. And yeah, make sure you're sanding, guys. It's imperative. Once we've got this sanded, though, we're going to move on to the next step, which is cutting. Stay tuned for that. Alright, now I was trying to decide between the two logos here. I ended up liking the red logo the most because that is going to really pop and flow with my color setup, which is going to be red and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to by hand cut out the logo here with a pair of scissors exactly the way I want it to look whenever I have it cut out. Now I'm going to cut, as I mentioned before, this shiny piece. This is where I want the hole for my plexi to go into, and we're going to illuminate this logo with the electroluminescent panel. So in order to do that, I have cut out exactly the shape that I want it to be, and now I'm going to outline it with a pencil, and then I'm going to use my Dremel with a multi-purpose cutting tool. Alright, so there's our easy shape. It's just a rectangle, super easy. It'll take me about, gosh, I think 5 to 6 minutes to cut this out. It's not going to take very long. Here's our Dremel with the multi-purpose cutting tool, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the small lines first on either side, and then I'm going to cut out the longer lines. All together, it doesn't take very long, and this is also in real time, so you can see exactly how long it took me to do this. Now we're using a medium speed on this, not too fast and not too slow. I keep it at about 3 on the settings on the Dremel. And when you're using a Dremel, you want to make sure that you're using a corded Dremel. You don't want to be using the battery powered because there's not enough torque to it, and it won't be able to make these cuts or cut through plastic like this. So be sure that the Dremel that you're using is corded, so that way there's enough power to it. Easy designs make for easy cuts, and we all love easy cuts. We want this to be as fun as it can be. Now, if you want to get a little bit more detailed and you want to go a little crazy and do something really super cool in there, you can do that. You absolutely can. But for the sake of the video and for the sake of what this is, this was just supposed to be a very basic, easy design. I wanted it to be something that absolutely anybody could do. You know, your 12-year-old brother could do this. If you are 12 years old, you could do this. Just make sure that you're with your mom and dad or your older brother or sister, whoever loves you the most, and yeah, make sure that you got some adult supervision. And even if you're an adult, and you might even need some adult supervision yourself, and that's okay. You know, I'm here to help every step of the way. And if you need more pointers, you need more knowledge, you need more ideas and outlooks, you can always check my other videos.
Shaking, I never wanna let you down. If you want to, I want to. Where you go, I follow. And if I don't like the answers, I'll never let it show. If I fall behind, would you come back around? Keep me hanging on, keep me hanging on. If I fall alive, would you let me shine? Keep me burning on, keep me burning on.
Alright, time to paint. Now we've actually washed our PlayStation 4. We've gotten in the sink. We used some Dawn dish soap. Don't use any scratch pads or anything like that. You can use a sponge or even just like a dish brush. And then we're going to get some warm water, and we're going to drop our paint into that warm water and let that get warm because it sprays out a lot more evenly. And while that is heating up, we're going to go ahead and apply our primer. Very quick bursts of paint over this, or primer, paint, whatever. It's primer. You don't need a whole lot. You just need enough to promote adhesion. And I'm letting this play with the sound so you can exactly hear like how I'm going about spraying this. Very, very quickly. That's really all you need. Make sure that you've got coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this around and get these edges that I missed during my first pass. You just need to do on the edges in the places that you haven't seen. You don't really need to keep like putting more and more on because you don't need a lot of primer. Alright, now I'm going to make sure, again with this piece, just like the other pieces, that I've got primer on every edge and every side of this. I'm going to let it dry for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to hit the bottom of it with some primer too. These edges are going to need to be painted because they are exposed, they're outside, and you can see them. So we need to make sure that we're primering them as well, and then we're going to paint over this. What I chose to do is I laid my first 3 coats of paint on, and then I let that dry for 24 hours before I ended up painting this part as well. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you let it dry for at least 24 hours before you flip it over, because you don't want to flip it over and get a bunch of gunk stuck inside of your paint and screw up your paint job. We don't want that. That would be terrible. Alright, now that everything is dried, we've allowed everything dry for at least 15 minutes on both sides. Very quickly, I'm going to lay my first coat of paint on, and as before, I'm going to let you hear that. You can hear it right now. Just quick, right over it. Super easy. Make sure we're getting all the sides and we are not putting too much paint on. You don't want it to be glossy. You don't want anything. You can see how it's kind of splotchy. That's what we want. Alright, now we're going to let this dry for 15 minutes, and then we're going to add our second coat. So with our second coat, we actually want this to look just barely wet. So make sure that you have a light on where you can see. You don't want it to be super glossy. If you see it starting to gloss up, just stop. That's as much as you want it to be. You don't want it to be super glossy. We're going to save that for the third coat. The reason why we're doing it this way is because A, we don't want too much paint on our project, and B, over a period of adding 3 coats, it will build up the perfect amount of paint that we need to make sure it is completely covered and is a nice, bright white. Make sure when you are laying the paint onto this that you are starting off of the edge and working your way across with the paint. I'm sure you can kind of see that's how I'm doing it. You want to start off the side and go completely across. That way we don't have any extra paint buildup, and it's not getting too much paint on the left side and not enough on the right side. It's completely even. And again, we're going to let that dry for 15 minutes before doing our third coat. This is our third coat here, and this is the coat that you want it to look glossy, kind of shiny. Don't be putting so much paint on there that it starts to drip. You want it to look wet, just to the point where it looks wet. Again, that is why we need a light shining on it. That way you can see that it looks wet, that it's wet enough. Once it gets to that high gloss look, that's when you know you've got enough paint on there. So be sure that we're paying attention, and we're just taking it easy. Again, you can hear how I'm painting this. You can hear the strokes. You can see it with your eyes. I make it look easy, and that's because it is. It is the easiest thing ever. If you need to practice a little bit on something before you go to do this, I highly suggest that. If you haven't been doing this, if this is the first time you've ever taken a project like this on, you need to be prepared. So paint something silly. I don't care. A model, it doesn't have, anything you don't want. Just something to practice with. Do that. Practice as much as you possibly can before it's time for you to actually do this. This should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. You should be enjoying. This should be therapeutic. Keep that in mind. Oh, God. It's getting a little crazy while I'm hitting it. It's kind of wobbling. That's okay. If that happens to you, no big deal. It's just because of the pressure of the air from the spray can is actually making it do that. But here, it's not doing that at all. Crazy. It's like magic. I willed it to stop. Beautifully coated, fantastic, nice and even paint job here. And as I mentioned before, once I have finished with my third coat, I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours. Make sure that you do the same. I know that's an extra day, but it's worth it. Patience. This is 24 hours later, and this is when I decided to go ahead and cover up the metal pieces that are inside of the top piece here. This is for your power button, and then this one right here is for your eject button. I'm going to cover that over with some blue painter's tape, so that way we don't paint it over and it no longer works. We don't want that. Once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the middle piece. You could do this on the first day if you wanted to. You can set off those pieces that you're letting dry. You can set those off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and move to our middle piece, and we're going to get that with a different color. Right now I'm primering this just the same as I did the other pieces. One quick burst over the whole thing, periodically taking it and turning it, as well as flipping it over to make sure that we have complete coverage with our primer. And we're going to follow the same steps. We're going to do a light first coat and then a medium coat on our second coat. And then our third coat, we're going to make sure that it looks nice and glossy. So follow the same steps that you did for the shell of the case for this as well. And it should come out looking super cool. Pay attention to what I'm doing during this part. You'll see that between coats, I flip the whole thing over. So it's not just getting on the top. It's like there are so many angles to this section of it, and there's grading everywhere. We want to make sure that we have complete coverage over it as well. So while you're between coats, just take it, flip it over. That way your second coat kind of goes on, differently than your first coat. I hope I'm making sense. It should make sense to you. You're just basically making sure that you got coverage over the whole thing. So watch me do this. I'm going to shut up for a bit and take it in, guys. Take it all in. Alright, so to get our graphics, we're going to go to Google, and we're going to look up whatever it is you're looking for. In this case, I'm looking for a black and white Ninja Turtles picture. That was kind of what I wanted it set on. I wanted it to be black and white with red being what was highlighted. And I was looking for a picture where all the Ninja Turtles had red masks on, because that is originally the way they looked. And I wanted it to look dark. The owner of this console said that he wanted it dark and more comic book looking. With that, I felt that this picture, although the turtles are in color, they're such a pastel that it actually works really well with the black and white setup that I have. I enjoy the fact that they are in color and that their masks are all red. Now, I needed to kind of perfectly size this to where it would actually fit my project, so I kind of had to work with that a little bit. You don't have to use an expensive program. You can use things like, PicMonkey. That's a good one. It's free, and I suggest you use that to help resize your picture and your image and whatnot. And then when we're going to set our printer for this, I've got mine set on transparency, but if you don't have that setting, you can just use plain. That'll work just fine. And make sure that the picture is fit to frame, because if it's not going to be big enough, see? So we want to make sure that there's not too much ink getting used. We don't want to use all that black ink in our printer, because that stuff's expensive. It's expensive too. We're using water slide decal paper, as I mentioned in the items needed section. So it prints out really well. It looks nice and colorful. Once we've got that cut to the size we want it to be, I'm going to hit it with some clear coat. I'm going to let it dry for about an hour. And then we're going to go ahead and put this in our water here. This is just a Tupperware container that I've filled up with water. And I'm going to go ahead and let this sit in the water. It didn't want to go under for some reason, so I forced it under. Push it down. Now, be careful when you're, if something like this is happening to you or whatever, you want to make sure not to have your fingers on any of where the ink would be. You want to keep it off to like the white sides and stuff like that, to where we're not going to be rubbing the ink off with our fingers. We only let that clear coat dry for about an hour, so it can get screwed up if we're not careful. We let that soak in our water for about a minute. And this is a bigger decal than what I'm used to using. Usually I use small pieces or whatever, so this is the first project I've ever used like a large printed out picture, and I'm kind of having some difficulty with it. As you can see, it didn't want to exactly slide off because it's such a big piece, so I had to grab it with both fingers, or both hands rather, and kind of get it to slide off. This was very tricky, so I suggest that you're doing your best to keep the film from folding. If yours starts folding and stuff, it's never too late to just reprint that picture. So make sure that you have extra water slide decal paper laying around, that you buy enough just in case something goes wrong. And I'll tell you, something went wrong later, and I went ahead and included that in the video just so you could see what can go wrong if you're not too careful. The cool thing about water slide decal paper is once it's set on there, you can still kind of move it around, and you'll see me here kind of struggling to get it to lay straight, and I even dangerously lift it up completely off of the thing here. I don't suggest doing that. I'm a professional though, and I was able to get away with it, kind of. Had I not done that, the problem that I ended up having later wouldn't have happened. Can't wait to show you guys that. But you can see here, I'm just kind of trying to make sure that there are no creases, that it's nice and flat, and it's even, that it's straight. And this can be frustrating. I can see how this could prove to be a little frustrating for some of you out there. Just be patient with it. Just be patient. Now, once we are happy that it is laying where we want it to be, we're going to go ahead and take either a wet sponge or some paper towel, and we're going to try and push out any leftover creases. Make sure that your paper towel is wet. Make sure that your sponge, whatever it is that you're using, make sure it is wet. We don't want to be rubbing off ink. That can happen. So what we're doing right now is just making sure that there are no creases, that we're pushing out any air bubbles or little bubbles that might have some water left in them. We're going to try and push all of that out to the side. And if you happen to notice a couple of bubbles after it's dried up, I have a trick to help you get rid of those air bubbles. I'm making sure to cover all bases for everybody because anything could happen when we're doing this. If it can go wrong, it probably will. That's what they say. Overnight, and at this point it is on there. You can see that it's nice and dry. And if you look closely, you can see a couple of bubbles in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, and I am ever so slightly putting small pin-sized holes into these air bubbles. And then I'm going to push out the air with a wet paper towel to get that to stick down, to kind of close up those bubbles to where we don't have that. Now once we put our clear coat on, those bubbles and everything are going to go away completely. And as I said, you have to really look close to see them. So don't be worried or discouraged if something like that happens to you. If it's a big bubble, you know, you don't want any big bubbles. We need to be taking care of all those bubbles as best as we can while it's still wet. So get all that taken care of first. If you got some big bubbles, guys, I hate to tell you, you're going to have to peel it off of there and do it again.
Take it down, save your time if you want to make it right. When you won't come easy, if you release me, make it go away. We've got a long way down from
Alright, now I'm going to put this whole thing back together because I'm going to do an outline trim over the top and bottom of this project. So I want to make sure that it all evens up, that it's completely straight all the way around. That's why I'm putting this back together. And I am actually completely putting it back together as far as the case goes, so that way, you know, I know that it's going to fit on there. Like, basically it's just going to make sure that every line is even. And I'm doing that with blue painter's tape and just making sure that it is straight all the way across and that there are no bubbles. Nothing is going to be leaking out to where when I spray this with paint, paint's not going to go, you know, places I don't want it to be. And this is the section of the tutorial where you see something go wrong in a little bit. So just watch what I'm doing here, outlining exactly where I want my pinstripe to go, and just using blue painter's tape to make that happen. Being patient, making sure that everything is sealed up, that way paint doesn't go places it's not supposed to go. I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut over here, and then that way I can lay some tape down inside of here to make sure that the pinstripe is taken care of deep in these crevices as well. And once I am happy that I've got it all, you know, covered where I want it to be, I'm going to use a plastic grocery bag and I'm going to tape that to it as well, so that way it's completely covered and we don't get paint yet again places we don't want it to be. Now when I go to put this pinstripe on, I'm actually going to apply all of the paint in one setting because we want to make sure that the paint is still wet when we go to remove all of this protection, the tape and the plastic bag and everything. So what I'm doing is I did that with 2 to 3 nice deep sweeps over the whole thing, so where it's nice and even across the whole thing. And then I'm just gonna, while it's wet, remove this tape. And there you have it. Now I'm gonna let that dry for about 3 hours. And this, oh yes, this is where things go wrong. So I'm gonna shut the hell up, because all you guys need to do is just take the same steps that you took in for the first pinstripe. But watch what happens when I peel the tape off. Oh, it's wonderful. I was excited about it. I even let you hear exactly what I said when it happened.
Call it off, let it go, all for nothing. I should have known. I've made mistakes, crashed and burned, so many chances, no time to learn. I need to find another way to make things right. I won't be coming back again a second time. Can't take it back, everything you've done. You know youth is wasted on the young. We still don't know.
Oh, fuck. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Fucking cocksucking son of a bitch. Beautiful. That is fucking beautiful.
Set it off.
Well, now you can see what not to do when you go to do this yourself. Now, when we're going to put clear coat on this thing, we're going to do it exactly the same way as we did when we were painting it. One quick covering on the first coat, second coat slightly heavier, third coat nice and glossy. It really wasn't too terrible of a thing that happened. The whole thing with the decal. As when I put my second decal on, like after I just, fixed that problem, I actually got a better print of the second, like on the second decal, it just looked a lot better. So it turned out working out okay. It's unfortunate. just set me back just a little bit, but whatever. Now the point of clear coat is to protect your project so where it won't get scratched or scuffed or cut, things like that. We want to make sure that a clear coat is applied because it also brings out color as well as protecting our project. So yes, make sure you clear coat. Make sure that all of the paint that you buy is like. So that means if you're using, for example, Duplicolor, you want to be using Duplicolor primer as well as Duplicolor paint and then a Duplicolor clear coat. If you're using acrylic paint, make sure it's an acrylic clear coat. That's hard to say. Make sure that everything is like. So if you're using enamel, you want to use an enamel-based clear coat. It's very simple, kind of common sense stuff, but some people don't know that. So make sure that that's what you're doing. You want to make sure that everything matches each other. It's all the same, because if you don't, you can get a funky reaction. If you're using Krylon clear coat on a Duplicolor project, I can't guarantee that your paint isn't going to crumble and get all nasty looking. If that happens to you, you're going to have to sand that down and start all over again. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want to make sure we get it right the first time. So take these precautions that I'm telling you to take. They are important. Now, just as before, make sure that we are allowing 15 minutes of dry time between each coat. And as I said, the first coat goes on nice and lightly. Second coat, medium. Third coat, nice and glossy. Again, pay attention to how much paint I'm putting on. You can hear how it's coming out of the can. Not putting too much on there because we don't want this to drip. We don't want things to get built up. We don't want it too thick. If you do this just right, exactly the way I'm showing you, your project is going to look phenomenal. We're going to let that dry for 24 hours before flipping it over and making sure that we apply our clear coat to this part of the case as well. And we're going to go ahead and do it just the same as we did with the paint. One nice coating of that clear coat, making sure that it is on there, good and thick, but not too thick. You're just basically doing enough to where it looks shiny right off the bat. There you go. This shit's clear coated like a motherfucker. Same steps apply for everything that you're painting. 3 coats, and with this middle part, we are periodically flipping it over, making sure that we have complete coverage over the entire thing. Alright, so it's the finishing touches time. So usually I would just call this the reassembly, but there are a few things that I want to go over during this part of the tutorial. Make sure that you have that metal piece into place that I told you not to forget or to not even remove from the fan. Somehow it fell off of my fan. I don't know what happened there, but I pay attention to that kind of thing. And it just kind of fits right over a little lip inside of there. It goes right into place. After I get this thing completely reassembled, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install the lights. We're going to use the brown wire on the fan to jump our power into our light, and then I'm going to ground it to the case itself using a screw. Red is power, black is ground. But let's not get ahead of ourselves yet, because that's a ways up. So yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of different things. We're going to be putting the plexi in during this section, and we're going to be putting the trim on, the trim that holds the plexi into place. I've also painted that trim, and I actually painted the power conditioner as well, using the same steps as I do in the other painting parts of the tutorial. It's all the same. Always 3 coats, 15 minutes between each coat, yada yada yada. So yeah, your heat sink goes into the middle piece of your PlayStation. Put that in first, then screw it down. Then goes your motherboard, and it's basically completely reversed of what you did in the first place. And just use this section of the tutorial to match up what you're doing. Make sure you're following the same steps that I am. And if you want to, at this point, you could use some new thermal paste. Personally, it was fine. I didn't need to put new thermal paste on this project. I've let the PlayStation run for several hours, and I haven't had any problems with it shutting down or getting overheated. So it's not always necessary, but there are a lot of people out there when they're taking things apart and then like computer stuff apart, they usually want to replace that thermal paste. You can do that, and I highly suggest you use the ceramic, not the Arctic silver. We want to use the white stuff. Now we're going to put our screws back into place here. Find where the arrows are, and that is where you put your screws in. And I'm speeding things up because this is boring, right? This part is usually, it's self-explanatory. Just put it back together. Just put it back together. That's all you got to do. Alright, so here's our brown wire, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to shave the covering off of this, just enough to where I can get a good amount of surface area to solder to, and then solder my red power wire to this. It's easy enough, but since it's so small, and the wire is so thin, error can happen. So just be super patient, lightly shave it off one side, and then I flip it over and I shave the other side, and then I just basically peel off the rest of it with my fingers. This gives us a nice exposed wire that we can solder to and make sure that we have a good connection. So with this, be patient and be careful.
I could see the fire in our eyes. Felt so much stronger when you walked with me by my side. I kept it close, but the close was not enough. Used to have it all, then we went and let it slip away. Oh no, I keep looking back. You know I have not forgotten all those promises.
Alright, this is our power conditioner here. And as I said, I did paint this white. So we're going to focus our camera, apparently. And then now I've dressed the soldering point on the fan with a little bit of solder. And now I'm going to dress this wire, which connects to the power conditioner, with solder as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump that to the brown cable. So again, red is your power and black is your ground. Doesn't take much, and we don't want it to ball up. We want it to be nice and thin and just enough to get a solid connection. And then once we've got that, we're going to wrap it up with black electrical tape, and we're going to power on our PlayStation and make sure that our light is running. And as you can see, it is. So now what I've done is I have actually clipped the wire because I need to snake this through the grating or the vent part under here, and this is the area that I'm going to attach the conditioner to, on the bottom towards the back, just out of the way of the power port. And I'm going to feed the wire in through the furthest back opening in that grating in the side, and we're going to pull that up and through, and then we're just going to reconnect our red to red and black to black. At this point, we can go ahead and clip off any excess wire that we don't need, because we don't need a whole lot of wire up in there. We want to make this as clean as we possibly can. So we're going to clip it, and then we're going to strip it, and then we're going to solder these two wires back together.
Standing outside, waiting for you. You were always taking time, baby, playing it through. I was calling out your name, but my eyes on the wall. You were running like a ghost from me. You were running from it all. You got me waiting. I'm on fire.
Look at those manly hands spinning that wire. Does that make you wet? Does that turn you on? Don't lie to me. It's alright. It's okay to be sexually aroused right now. I might be a little sexually aroused by my own hands, and I'm not sure if that counts as slightly homosexual. It's okay, I suppose. I mean, it's completely okay. In this day and age, it's alright to be turned on by a man's hands. So don't feel ashamed of yourself for that. You're not the only one.
You've been playing my mind lately, turn it around. Once I thought you were mine, baby.
Alright, so now we've got this soldered together, we're going to go ahead and protect it with some more black electrical tape. You can also use some heat shrink wrap if you have some of that. Sometimes cables come with that. If you would prefer to use heat shrink, you can find that at Radio Shack or any electronics store like Fry's or something like that. Super cheap, it's not expensive at all. And you can just use a lighter to get that wrap to shrink around. Electrical tape does the same thing though, and honestly it's just as good. In my opinion, that is. Take that for what it's worth. Once we've got this wrapped up again, I'm going to... this has two sets of wires to it. So you have your... This part is what powers it up. So we've got this running straight into the fan. And then you can see, if you follow the cable along, you can see that it goes into the power conditioner. And if you look at the top right of the power conditioner, you can see another set of wires coming out of there. And that set of wires, which is this set right here, actually is what connects to the luminescent panel itself. Now this is all black, and I was able to trace which was power and which one was ground because there was a plug. And on the opposite end of the plug that goes into the panel itself, you see red and black wire on that as well. So I just had to look once I snapped that piece together where the red cable fed and where the black cable fed, and then I made a mental note as to which one was which. Luckily for me, I had a little bit of white paint on the ground side, so I was able to tell that that was the ground, and that the one that didn't have white paint on it was the black, or was the was the power, or the ground. Jesus, I'm getting tongue-tied. It's not that difficult. Just snap the piece together, take a look at it, make a mental note, mark it some way, and then clip that that plug-in off, because you can't close up the PlayStation with that plug in place. So you have to make sure that everything is just wire going straight to wire, no plug-ins or anything like that. And I've fed that around the power conditioner and fed it in through the grating, the grating right next to the first grating that I used. Little space there, just snake it into place. And now I'm just making sure that everything's right where it needs to be, that I'm happy with that, and that there's enough slack on the wire, and it looks good. So now it's time to go ahead and connect the luminescent panel to our exposed wires there, and then we're going to power up the PlayStation and make sure that the luminescent panel is working correctly.
If I could, I would give you the moon. Say stop if I'm coming in too soon. Colliding like celestial bodies. Oh, oh. Celestial bodies. Celestial bodies. Oh, oh. Celestial bodies. Celestial bodies. Oh, oh. Celestial bodies, celestial bodies, oh, oh. Celestial bodies, celestial.
Alright, now once we're happy we have a solid connection, what do? We protect it with our black electrical tape. You guessed correctly, and you get a cookie for that. You like Oreos? Do you like Nutter Butters? Do you like chocolate chip cookies? You like fudge rounds? You can have one. Get yourself one right now. You're doing great. And it works. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So now it's time for us to reapply our light bar. There's a little groove here, and it fits into the back side of the top of this PlayStation 4 case on this section here. You just pop it down in there, and down she goes. It doesn't go... I don't know what I'm doing here. I had it right the first time. That's wrong, Jimmy. There you go. There you go. And yeah, it just snaps back into place, and luckily for us, that adhesive strip that's in there is just enough to get it right back where it needs to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and, after I've made sure that my cables are nice and secure, I've secured those down inside there with some electrical tape so that way that they're not going all over the place and spread out and all that, or bunched up together. We want them all to lay flat. I'm going to go ahead and put this piece of the PlayStation 4 back into place. You can see it fits on there perfectly. And our electroluminescent panel is sticking slightly out of the top there, you can see. The reason why I chose to do it this way is because I want to be able to remove that piece that I was just holding on to. Alright, so now we're doing the plexi. And the way I'm doing this is I'm taking my opening and I'm putting it over the edge of the plexi, giving me a less of a surface area to cut. So I've used the corner pieces here, and then I'm outlining the rest of it that I need to cut off, using both my square and my plexiglass cutter. So we've marked it with a pencil. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay down this square over the top of it, and then very carefully use that plexiglass cutter to cut straight lines completely across. Watch me go. Then we move it over to the edge of our table, and we're just going to push down, and it will break off quite easily. Once I've broken that off, I'm going to use a pair of scissors and just cut the film here in the cut. So that way I don't have to fight anything or anything like that. It just comes right off. Super easy. Moving on to the next piece, and we're going to speed things up a little bit. Just wanted to show you that in real time so you could see exactly like how long it takes. We want to make sure that we have a nice, thorough scoring through the entire piece of plexi. That way we avoid cracking our plexi, especially when we're using a small piece like this. I had to break off with a pair of pliers there. And it's easy to snap and crack your plexi if you aren't careful. So make sure that you spend a little extra time scoring out your score, edged, whatever you want to call it. It's a scoring. That's the correct term. And I'm going to set down the whole roll of black electrical tape, and that is just the size that I need in order to just drop my plexi right into place. It fits in there perfectly. And now I'm going to use the trim, the Cowell's custom chrome trim that I've painted white. We're going to cut that with some scissors here, and I'm going to apply this trim, which is going to cover up any rough, uneven edges in our cut, and it's also going to make sure that our plexi stays into place. So this actually does two things for us in one. This stuff is fantastic, and we're cutting at 45-degree angles. That way we make sure to, when you do 45-degree angles, it's going to match up evenly, all edges, perfectly. You can eyeball it, but you can also use an angler, which I have a link in the description for you to use. You can just print that off. It is a wonderful tool if you aren't comfortable just eyeballing it like I am. And then once I've got that into place, I'm going to remove the top piece of film from the plexi, so that way we can get the rest of this trim on there. And I'm going to shut the hell up and let you watch me do that.
Doctor, I asked him if he got a clue. What's wrong with my heartbeat? I'm stumbling.
You can see there's some small gaps, and there are a couple places around the edge where the paint kind of came off. I will take care of that myself, just touching it up later. But for now, we're just going to move on because I don't need to show you all that. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bottom piece of film and then put our picture into place. Take a look at it, flipping it over and making sure that it is exactly where we want it to be, and we're happy with that. And then to secure it into place, what am I going to use? Something spectacularly huge, some technology, absolutely mind-bending stuff? No. Nope. Just a little electrical tape. That's all it takes, guys. You know, for your paper, you can use like photo paper, or you can use regular paper, whichever you have on hand. Photo paper is a little bit more expensive. It does look better than regular paper, but whatever. And let's say eventually you're not happy with the way that picture looks or whatever, you can always just easily remove it and fix it later if that's something that you want to do. Black electrical tape, guys. So many uses. It does a great job of securing our picture into place. Oh, man, we're almost done. We're basically done here. You've sat through an hour and a half so far. You're a trooper. You are a trooper. Thanks for sitting with me while we've done this. I hope your project looks fantastic, and I want to make sure to let you know I love to see your projects, so feel free to tweet them at me or post them onto my Facebook wall. Send me a Snapchat. Whatever you got, I've probably got it too. Feel free to send me your project. I'd love to see it. There it is. Now again, I've got some touch-up work to do. We won't worry about that right now. Here's our electroluminescent panel, and I'm just going to cut that off with a pair of scissors. And yes, it's still going to work because that is how this stuff is. What a great idea I think the electroluminescent panel is. It's mind-boggling. That's the most technologically advanced piece of this whole project. And it's not even hindering us from being able to take this piece right here that we're putting on there. We can take it off, put it on, whatever we want to do. We can always take this apart later if we have to. When you're making a console like this or any kind of project like this, you want to make sure that you can always take it apart later. So right now I'm just putting in the finishing screws, and then I'm going to go ahead and secure that power conditioner there at the bottom with some double-sided tape.
At the back of the house, where a high school teacher caught us when making out. You and me, perfect strangers, but really not at the same time. Nothing can come between us. You and me, we're staying alive, alive, forever alive. So hear me out, telling you now we're gonna go all the way up, 'cause we got it all figured it out. For the both of us, we've been rolling out, top down. Telling you now we're gonna go all the way up, 'cause we got it all figured it out. For the both of us, we've been rolling out, top down.
And that is our final finishing touch. You just stick it on there. And there it is. Guys, I love doing these projects for you. I love doing them in general. It's just something that I love to be able to sit and look at a console and think, what can I do to make that look awesome? And what can I do that's different than the last console that I did? What can I do to show people your imagination is your own limit? I do my best, guys, and I would really love to do a lot more of these, and that is where you come in. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I have a Patreon account that I've got set up, and also you can just donate directly to the channel by visiting my channel, and you can donate if you would like. If you do it through Patreon, there will be tiers available, things that you'll get in return for contributing to the channel. And I want to hear from you. What do you think would be appropriate? I don't want to do silly things like, I don't mind giving away t-shirts or keychains and stuff like that, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, if you donate $50 you get a t-shirt, because that's not fair. So I want to know what you guys think would be an appropriate level of tiers. I'm thinking that there will be certain videos that will only be available to those of you who donate to the Patreon. I think that's something that I could do, just specific content for you guys. I would love to bring that kind of content to you. And again, let me know what you think would be appropriate. I wouldn't mind even doing custom controllers or custom consoles to people who donate, enough for that. As I want to give back to you guys, not just with the tutorials, but give you something that lets you know that I appreciate you. All of you, every single one of you, all 8,000 of you, those of you who love these tutorials, who love Replay Arcade, who love my history of videos, thank you so much. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. I've got all of those things, and I post quite frequently. I let you see behind the scenes. I let you see when I'm working on stuff, as I'm working on stuff. Oh man, another tutorial down, and on the way will be a PlayStation 4 controller to match this PlayStation 4, as I usually do. It's going to be a good one. Thanks again so much, guys, for watching. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next video.